MarketPulse, Monday, April 6th. The market spent the day watching the clock on a war deadline and decided to buy the hope. All three indices closed green. The S&P 500 finished at 6611, up 0.4%. The Dow added 165 points to close at 46,670. Nasdaq outperformed at 21,996, up 0.5%, led by tech. Not a conviction rally, a relief drift. Volume was below average. Nobody is making big bets ahead of tomorrow's deadline.
The story of the day. President Trump set a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If they don't comply, his words were, quote, living in hell. Mediators in Pakistan, Egypt and Turkey floated a 45-day ceasefire. Iran rejected it, demanding a permanent end to the war instead. So we have a hard deadline tomorrow night and no agreement in sight. The market is pricing in hope, but hedging with defense names and elevated volatility. The VIX closed at 25, well above the long-run average. That tells you the tape doesn't fully trust the optimism.
Sector rotation told the story clearly. Tech led the day, up 44 basis points, driven by chip strength on easing supply disruption fears. Materials and communication services were also green. On the lagging side, energy dropped 46 basis points. That might surprise you with oil at $115 a barrel, but the market is forward-looking. If a deal gets done, energy gives back those war premiums fast. Real estate was off 40 basis points. Healthcare down 17, industrials down 16. Defensive positioning underneath a green headline number. The movers. Kratos Defense surged 10% on war tailwinds. They make drones and missile defense systems. If the conflict escalates, they're a direct beneficiary. Boot Barn jumped 10% on strong retail traffic data. MicroStrategy rallied 6.5%, riding Bitcoin back above 69,000. Seagate hit a new all-time high, up 5.5%. 67% year-to-date gain. The data storage boom is real. Booking Holdings gained nearly 5% following its 25-to-1 stock split. And Micron added 3% as the chip sector caught a bid across the board. On the downside, Tesla fell 2% after JP Morgan reiterated their underweight rating with a $145 price target. The stock is at $360. That implies 60% downside. Analyst Ryan Brinkman flagged execution risk as Tesla moves into lower price segments with more competition. Lumentum dropped 6.5%, giving back last week's gains. Sherwin-Williams, Caterpillar, and Honeywell were all down about 1%. Classic industrial and materials profit-taking after last week's run.
The commodity and rate picture. West Texas Intermediate climbed to $115 a barrel. Brent crude near $112. These are war premium prices. The futures market is already pricing in a steep decline. Brent at 90 by August and below 80 by December, but only if the ceasefire holds. The 10-year yield slipped 1 basis point to 4.33. Friday's jobs report showed 178,000 jobs added, beating expectations, but wage growth came in soft at 3.5% year-over-year. That's the lowest since May 2021. The bond market read that as disinflationary. Earnings season starts heating up this week. Delta Airlines and Constellation Brands report Wednesday, April 8th. Delta is the travel demand RID. Constellation is the consumer spending RID. The consensus for S&P 500 companies is 13% year-over-year earnings growth. That would be the 6th consecutive quarter of double-digit gains. The bar is high. If companies can't clear it in a war environment, the multiple gets questioned.
3 things to watch tomorrow. First and most important, the Trump deadline at 8 p.m. Eastern. If Iran reopens the strait or signals a credible deal, oil drops and risk on trades hard. If the deadline passes with no agreement, expect a spike in crude defense names rally further and the VIX breaks above 30. Second, keep an eye on Bitcoin. It broke back above 69,000 today. Crypto often front-runs risk sentiment shifts. Third, the 10-year at 433. Any move above 440 suggests the bond market is repricing war inflation risk. That's your overnight homework. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the setup. MarketPulse is for informational and educational purposes only, Nothing in this episode constitutes financial advice or investment recommendations. Always do your own research and consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions. Past performance does not guarantee future results.